right now. I'll tell you when we're live. It'll come up.
In 3, 2.
And you're going to do the intro since you're the host?
Oh, I'm the host?
You're the host and we're the co-hosts. That's what I put on the Twitter.
Wow.
Look at you. That's ultimate responsibility.
That is the ultimate driving machine.
Yeah. So, I think it's loading.
It says live top left corner.
Yep, now we're live.
All right.
Welcome everybody. This is Finished Business. I'm the host, Nick. My co-hosts, Brad and Lance the Vegan.
And our Twitters are down here. I know you can't see that, but I added them under us.
Oh, hell yeah.
Look at us go. Pretty much
Assuming that we sit in this order, right?
Well, yeah, I can always
We
change
planned
it later.
We planned it.
We can just always sit in this order.
Chinese fire drill real quick.
I don't know about that.
So today, the topic is space.
Like outer space, right?
Space in general. Some people could say outer space.
What about like space bags?
What about my personal space bubble that's being
The space in between us.
taken up by you two here?
The distance.
Mm-hmm.
That's space. There's space.
There is a little bit of space. I mean,
Not
we
enough.
got a solid inch and a half between Brad's leg and mine. So
Yeah, and we could close that gap if you wanted.
we could
Have less space.
But the big picture is space, not the little picture of space.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so outer space, or space, the expanse that exists beyond the Earth and between celestial bodies.
I don't
You
know.
looked up the definition?
Yeah,
But
that was a quick Google
do you
search.
consider Mars to be part of space though?
Like the surface of
Yeah,
Mars or the
surface of-
planet?
I mean, it's just out there though, you know.
I think it would be in space.
Yeah.
So,
Anything that's not on the surface of the Earth is kind of space to me.
what about people who don't believe in space?
Well, those people are
There's
crazy.
Flat earthers.
Flat
Well, no, I
earthers.
think flat earthers,
Boy.
they believe in space. They just believe the Earth is a disc, right?
Yeah.
But they still believe in
But there's
space.
no curvature of the Earth type of thing.
Yeah, so...
It's just because they can't see it from ground level. If they decided to climb Mount Everest, they'd sure see the curvature.
So we can all agree that space is real.
I would say
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
of course. We've been to space.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think
We
maybe
go to
we have?
space. Sometimes we don't leave the atmosphere.
So is that
When
space?
we launch rockets, then we go
Well, the ones
into-
that blow up before they make it.
That's not...
Well, it happens.
Yeah.
It does happen, and there's a book about rockets that went to space, and it has a picture of all the rockets, and it shows their success rates versus their failures.
Mm-hmm. The failure rate is still pretty dang high, which is why they don't just do space missions all the time. Send your trash to
The amount of
space.
money.
Well, every once in a while they explode and cause a bunch of damage, and that's not good, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so... And I know that you follow the SpaceX stuff, right?
Yeah.
I do a little bit, but you definitely more so.
Yeah.
Old
So-
Muskie.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I really like Elon Musk. I like him a lot.
I have mixed feelings about him.
Seems like a likable guy.
I find it interesting the words he says.
I like him on Twitter, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think he's a really he seems like a nice guy, and he definitely, I mean, he's smart, of course. He's built a lot of businesses, like you were saying. What was that?
I think he created PayPal.
Yeah, PayPal. I'm pretty sure you're right. But
Which,
I know
I don't like PayPal as a company, but I don't think it's associated with
I
them
think it
anymore.
was good when it started out.
Sure, yeah.
Before-
It was like the eBay thing, you know,
Yeah.
back when eBay was still cool.
Before online banking really picked up,
Yeah.
PayPal was the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Back
I
when Western Union was a thing.
They still are.
you know the thing I don't like about SpaceX though,
What's that?
they get quite a few tax dollars. I think they get government funding. I think.
Yes, a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which I'm okay with government funding space exploration, but it
But NASA doesn't really do space missions anymore. They're like rocket control and stuff like that. They're like logistics for space now. They're not really launching stuff into
They still have
space.
projects.
Oh yeah, they got projects.
So a lot
but,
of their projects are
but their
years out.
projects are like, let's use a
2000.
SpaceX rocket to send our
Yeah.
satellite up. that's what their projects have come down to.
Yeah, so the government stopped really giving NASA a lot of funding, which
Mhm.
allowed privately owned space companies.
Mhm. And privately owned, in my opinion, is the way to go. I mean, the more the more privatized the world is, I think, the
it
better
creates
it is.
competition.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because there's a couple of different companies, and Elon Musk's company, SpaceX, is doing a really good job with renewable rockets or reusable rockets
Yeah.
and bringing the cost down.
Sorry.
He's kind of like grabbed that market, but there's other people like Virgin Atlantic, and
I think
they're-
Boeing's kind of trying to get in on that too, at least on Twitter. I don't know how well that's actually going to go.
Yeah. So
Do you follow Boeing on Twitter?
No, I don't follow Boeing on Twitter. I don't follow anybody on Twitter.
Your Twitter says something different.
Oh, what does
You-
my Twitter say?
You follow like 12 vegans.
Oh, look at me go.
So, the Elon Musk has with SpaceX the reusable rocket thing down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, get things up to
Yeah.
space, bring them down. He's actually their company's working on saving the fairings, just the nose cones,
Oh, yeah.
and just to bring the cost down more. But there's other companies that have alternative ways of bringing things to space. So there's like Virgin Atlantic has a plane. It's the biggest plane in the world, and it's pretty much two planes put together. And the idea is the plane. will
It's even
fly-
got the spruce goose beat.
Listen. Listen, man, it's a vegan.
All right.
So, as a host of this podcast, I'm usually in timeout.
Okay.
So what's cool about this alternative way of getting up to space is that this big plane can bring things up to the upper atmosphere, which is part of SpaceX's job, is to bring it through the hardest part of the atmosphere and get it into space, to thrust it through space.
Yeah.
So what this plane will do is it'll just fly the cargo up to space, and then pretty much all the work is done, and it'll have its own little rocket that'll go further up or whatever, release satellites.
Sure.
So it's almost like a space shuttle that doesn't exit the atmosphere?
Yeah, it just brings it up, just like kind of ferries cargo up to like the upper atmosphere, the stratosphere, and a lot of people are investing money into that because it's just like SpaceX with the reusable rockets. This plane doesn't crash or anything; it lands back on the Earth, and you can reload it and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the Falcon Heavy or whatever launch,
Yeah.
and they had all the different stages land, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that was.
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Like at the same time too.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Yep. One of the coolest things that I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Most definitely.
made history that day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
So a lot of speculation was that the center core landed. You know, we were texting each other about that day, and it didn't land. Okay.
It was like 3 feet off to the left or something.
Yeah.
That's okay. They'll get it right.
Yeah. But I mean, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So.
Yeah. As far as price goes.
Mhm.
So now they're to the point with the Falcon 9s where they're not even trying to recover them because they have new versions coming out. It's called the Block 5, and so right now they're sending rockets up that have been used already. And
Okay.
they're not even trying to retrieve them. They're actually letting them crash into the ocean and gathering data about that. The re-entry.
So, do they then go pick them up, though, and
System.
recycle them?
I'm not sure. I think so.
Because if they're just, like, dumping trash in the ocean, that's not okay.
Well, you know, I think there would have to be still some value to it, even if it did crash into the ocean.
Yeah,
As long as none of the parts contain the little 6-pack plastic bit that kills all the fish and everything, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, even just, like, scrap.
Yeah.
You can get scrap out of it.
just scrap value is fine too. Yeah.
Or- well, you could take those materials and build new rockets, right?
Yeah. So
Those
another,
poor welders.
if you were to watch the most recent SpaceX launches, the rockets were missing the landing gear, and up at the bottom has the landing gear, and up at the top has titanium fins that, as it's falling to the ground, of course, it kind of directs allows it to, like a fin, allows it to move and maneuver a little bit. So these last couple of launches haven't had the fins, titanium fins, which are really expensive out here, or the legs. So they're just leaving them all off.
No.
So.
Just to save on costs because they're not going to recover them? Or?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I'm not going to land it.
Yeah.
Probably saves weight, too.
No, absolutely.
But I heard that the titanium fins, grid fins, are ridiculously expensive. Like, outrageously expensive.
Well, titanium is expensive, right?
I think it's like the size of a car. And there's 4 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, is that all?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So what do you know of other companies that are kind of competing with SpaceX or doing similar things in outer space besides the one with the plane?
It's like traditional rockets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what other private companies are working on traditional rockets?
So referring to the plane, that's Virgin Atlantic. That's like the T-Mobile guy, I believe.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
red Virgin planes, you know, the commercial 747s or whatever. There's other companies.
Virgin Air.
Virgin Air. There's other companies that are doing it as well. United Launch Alliance and Blue Origins. Blue Origins.
We have a fact from our fact checker Jake from State Farm that says cost for pure titanium is $661 per 100 grams,
Wow.
which is a lot.
That's quite a bit, especially when you're talking about car sizes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Car
does
weighs
it
a
have
lot.
the
A
actual
lot more
parts
than
of
100 grams.
titanium grid fin for?
That's just pure titanium.
That's crazy. The first versions weren't titanium, and then they'd break, and so they finally started using. Some of the most expensive parts on it was the grid fins. You'd think this big, huge rocket, the most expensive things on it are like the 4 grid fins made out of titanium. It's weird to think that with all the metal that's made out of it.
Yeah. Lightweight alloys that are still super strong so they can launch them fast. And,
Yeah, and,
yeah.
and the specs, the testing that they probably have to go through to even be used.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There was one that I saw just the other day called Orion Span or something, and they're building a space station that apparently is going to be like a hotel. So as a private citizen, you can buy a ticket and go up there and like stay there.
So are they just building the hotel and having someone put it in space, or are they going to bring it
Have
into
they
space too?
talked about pricing yet?
I don't know. It was something that I saw just like on Twitter, and I clicked on it. I was like, oh, and then I took a screenshot of it so that we could talk about it today. But I don't know much. You want to look it up, fact checker?
because there's this planes that you can ride that go up and do zero gravity, that go up really high and then drop for
Yeah.
weightlessness.
The vomit comet, right?
Yep.
Vomit coming, yeah. And that's celebrities and stuff buy tickets for that and go up or shoot YouTube videos or music videos.
I'd buy a ticket for that.
Hell
Sure.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It'd probably be really expensive though. Do you know how much that costs?
No, I'm gonna try and stay off of my phone since we got Jake. But so you asked what other companies would be in competition with SpaceX. SpaceX
Yeah.
is
Do you know of any?
yeah. So SpaceX is mostly in the United States. It's based out of Hawthorne, California. They have 2 launch sites usually, the East Coast and the West Coast. The idea for that is
Depending on the weather, right?
well, not necessarily,
Oh, okay.
but the weather, of course, plays a factor. But the idea is you don't want to launch from Colorado over, people. So they launch from California or Florida because it's over the ocean,
Right, that makes sense.
and so you don't have the possibility of hurting people. But SpaceX right now, compared to other companies like United Launch Alliance and Blue Origins, these 3 companies all have contracts with NASA and the government.
Mm-hmm.
And you had talked about that a little bit, how it kind of makes you uncomfortable, where they just kind of guaranteed money to do things.
Well, I don't know. Now that you say that NASA's not really doing much, it makes me feel a little bit better.
NASA has a bunch of stuff planned and they're working on things, but they're years out, and they don't necessarily have plans of getting them up into outer space. It's just building the actual things.
So this is the thing Jake found on this hotel. Aurora Station will be the world's first luxury space hotel in orbit 200 miles above the Earth's surface. Our luxurious accommodations will include private suites for 2, the most number of windows ever created for spaceflight weightlessness, and the world's only authentic astronaut experience. We launch in 2021.
Wow.
So that's soon.
That's coming right up.
That's super soon. Sorry, was I smoking you out?
Yeah, a little bit. So, with SpaceX, they have flight-proven rockets. So, customers, and the people who use these rockets to put things in space aren't just U.S. customers. They're satellites for Bulgaria or for other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of people utilize this. But the thing with SpaceX is that they have flight-proven these rockets with a certain amount of weight that they can put up. And so people shopping around that want to send a satellite up into space can feel better about it, and they're getting better about successes. So they're getting more business with the large payload from the Falcon 9. So these other companies, they can launch things into space, but not quite the payload. They're much smaller rockets. So they're still doing it, but it's just smaller rockets, and these rockets are like flight proven, and I don't really have the research on it right now, but they're rockets that have gone up like several times, and they're from mostly the 70s. The technology hasn't really
Changed a lot, yeah.
changed that much. It's gotten better with.
Why do you think that they haven't changed that much? Why is SpaceX the only one that seems to be advancing?
Well, SpaceX is using Merlin engines on there, which is technology that's old.
Oh, is it?
So SpaceX isn't really isn't doing anything new with the rocket engines. They're doing new things with the logistics behind maneuvering a rocket or getting it to land. So with the invention of like algorithms and programming, they've been allowed to land these things. Because it's a coordination of many things that all have to come together. And I think that was probably what people had to do back in the 70s, is actually control it and maneuver it when there were people in the space shuttles.
Except they didn't have powerful computers back then to do it for them.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. Yeah. Now that they say that the power in your cell phone is more than the computer that helped send man to the moon in '69 or whatever.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
I saw an article about a microchip that's smaller than a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's IBM's working on that.
And it's the same power as a 1990s desktop computer. Just think about flash drives these days and how
Back when we were
How
little,
cheap they
it was
are.
like we like made PowerPoint presentations for elementary school on floppy drives.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
dating me right now, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I have a computer from the early '80s that, it's got this massive hard drive in it that's like this big. I'm not even kidding.
You hear it. Oh, it's so loud.
Yeah, but it's like 10 megabytes or something, like something that would be the size of one file nowadays, like one small file.
Yeah, you can't even call a picture that small.
yeah, you take a picture on a DSLR or something like that. It's like 15 floppies. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We've all,
No, it like just.
you noticed it right away.
Yeah.
Good eye. Man, you're doing
All right.
your best to distract me. I see it.
It's all good.
I see it.
I got you, man.
All right. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back on now.
Back?
Yeah, we're back.
Very good. Very good.
It's appreciated though. Comedic relief.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah, we're back. We're back on air. So we were talking about computers and how much they've gotten smaller, and now they're on spacecraft controlling everything. So what happens when we create HAL 9000?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, God.
2001: A Space Odyssey. Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Not familiar.
No? Okay.
I get the pop culture reference, but I've never seen.
Anyway, it's a computer on a spacecraft that has artificial intelligence, and it ends up taking over and pretty much killing everybody.
I mean, honestly, AI is like a big enough discussion to go all on its own, and I know enough about that I can go ahead and host that one. But
We'll do AI
let's
for
not
another one.
Yeah.
bring up, because that is
AI is
becoming-
crazy, man. AI is crazy.
Okay.
It's burgeoning.
Do you think AI is going to end up on spacecraft?
Absolutely.
I thought we weren't talking about it.
Well, this is still about space. We're not gonna delve into AI.
I'll answer your question
Yeah.
very creatively.
Alright.
I think AI will be smart enough not to put itself on a spaceship, but to put us as humans on the spaceship for them.
Well, that's the thing. But wouldn't AI just be able to make a copy of itself and dump it off on the spaceship and send itself off somewhere
course,
else?
of
Yeah.
course.
So there's going to be AI
If it was like
spaceships.
connected to the network and on
Yeah,
the cloud, right?
that's what they all are going to be.
So
They already are.
So what do you mean by putting us on the spacecraft? You mean like they're going to harvest us like the Matrix or something?
No.
Okay.
No, I just think that if AI was gonna send we're assuming it's a smart, supremely smart thing, it's not going to risk itself getting harmed. It's going to send something else like a monkey or a human.
Oh, I see. Oh,
At that point-
for space exploration, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
at
harm
that
itself.
at that point we would probably be slaves of it and have no choice but to go up.
I see. Well, that topic will be for the AI.
And that's going to be a good topic.
That'll be a good topic.
It's
I
a
like
good
that.
topic.
Yep.
It's written down.
Hell yeah.
All right. So, what do you think about going to Mars? Colonizing Mars.
Okay, how about let's first before we get into that, if the opportunity for you to go to Mars
Hell
is
yeah.
one of the first people, like before any infrastructure set up, you have to realize the internet connection is like straight up 8 minutes each way. So
Well, we were talking last time that I don't like that technology, and social media isn't really that important. But
Okay, but like just to get an email from your family,
yeah,
or like if you're
there
talking
is
on the phone,
there is no
hey,
live.
how's it going?
There is no live voice. It ain't working like
You
that.
say, how's it going? And then you have to wait for 8 minutes and you get this really garbled, I am good.
like back when they used to do news, it doesn't really happen anymore. But in the news, when you'd have someone in Florida, let's say we're in the East Coast, and someone from the West Coast, there'd be like a 3-second delay,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like that. I will never see that anymore. Do you guys see that?
Well, no,
delay?
that's the
I don't
thing.
really
Is
watch the news.
radio waves travel at light speed,
Yeah.
and there's like a significant time delay between Earth and Mars.
Yeah.
It's
So it'd be
it's
like a
several,
minute instead of 3 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
You just have to fire off a bunch of questions and then sit and wait for the person to respond back.
But
to
don't you think it's amazing how they like make rovers move and everything on planets far, far away? Because they give them commands, and then they have to wait and they have to give them like a series of commands,
And then wait.
and then wait for a response to be given.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can get back like high resolution pictures from Mars just boggles my mind.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it takes to download one of those high-res photos.
Well, there's satellites that have been sent out to space.
Oh, yeah.
Telescopes and stuff just
Mhm.
taking pictures.
Yeah.
And there recently, one that's the furthest away
Voyager it finally exited our solar system.
just sent some back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What I find are interesting are the pictures where it's like looking back onto Earth and how Earth is the teeny tiniest little pinprick. You see all of space.
And it's very round and spherical.
You know, I was doing some research last night, mostly looking at pictures because SpaceX sent the Tesla Roadster up into space. And
Yeah.
that's a huge area of conversation,
Yeah.
topic. But they put a bunch of cameras on there, and there's a lot of really good pictures of the Earth.
Yeah.
And I actually have some more to say about that, but I was doing some research on it, and it's just kind of cool to see. I'm skeptical. I'll be the first to admit I'm pretty skeptical about things like this, things that I have not actually experienced myself or
That you're a part of.
partaken in. I kind of have to see it or touch it for it to be real, almost. You know,
Sure.
like.
Yeah.
At least that's how I'd like it to be, because like the new iPhone, I don't know if it's real. I've never
I've never even seen one.
I know somebody that has one, so I can tell you
Yeah,
straight.
and yeah, occasionally I see someone and you can know it's the iPhone X because of the bezel-less screen. But
No, I know somebody that got one. I was like, why did you buy that? But anyway.
So I'm pretty skeptical about things, and I try to keep an open mind, and I like to have proof. So for me, what I appreciated about the model, whatever, Tesla Roadster going up into space, is that it offered views of the Earth that because we get views from satellites, the International Space Station, but this thing is leaving pretty quickly, like 7.
It's out there.
It's going fast.
So are you saying that you feel as though the pictures from the Tesla Roadster give validity to your stance on the Earth being round or flat or what?
Yeah. Well, no, we're not necessarily. I'm not
Okay.
saying I don't believe that the Earth is round or flat or anything like that.
All right.
But I said it was interesting just to see the perspective from the Roadster.
There's a picture of the Earth as a cube. You're supposed to be our fact checker, not our myth creator.
Brings a whole new meaning.
The Earth is cubical. It's just like that movie, The Cube.
So I just want to say that out of all the big rockets that are happening right now, there's a Russian rocket called the Proton, which was made in 1965 and is still in operation. Its payload is 200 or 20,000 kilograms, but it's gone up successfully 353 times. But it's failed 46 times. So this is one of the rockets that's been around the longest and actually has been up to space the most out of all of the other rockets, 353 times.
Really?
350.
Wait, one rocket?
Successes to 46 failures.
Not the, so you know.
Oh,
not
that one style.
the one model.
Okay, okay. I thought you meant the one rocket. I was like, holy
Oh,
crap.
46 failures.
It failed 46 times. And it's still going.
Yeah. I was like, wow, they just like fixed it. And it's, all right.
So
I'm down.
the current rocket that SpaceX is using is the Falcon 9, which, by the way, the Falcon Heavy is 3 of the Falcon 9s put together.
Yeah.
But the Falcon 9 from SpaceX has been up 28 times and successfully landed 21 times.
Huh.
So
But how many
like
times
all
has it
of
failed
them?
to go all the way out?
I don't know that it.
I'm not sure if it
That
ever
was
has.
very, very, very
Never blown
beginning.
up or anything?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because there was one time where it had payload up on the top and it exploded on the dock,
Mm-hmm.
and so
I'm not sure if that counts.
So now they changed it and they do a static fire test, which is basically it getting all the way to T-1 second where it launches and it doesn't. So basically it loads all the propellant, it does all the stuff, and that's where it exploded the one time on the launch pad with the payload in it. So now they don't load it up until after that static fire test is done.
Okay. Makes sense.
So they don't destroy the payload?
Destroy the payload, yeah. So it's pretty cool. And who's to say that Elon Musk has that much control over the things that are happening?
Yeah. Probably not. He probably owns it and has somebody else
a huge
run
amount
it.
of say, but
Yeah.
like he is not a graphics designer or he's not specialty, and it took like 6,000 people to Roadster up into space.
Yeah. Yeah,
several
huge
years.
teams of people, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Just for everything.
yeah. So he's just kind of the boss or whatever. So he's not exactly responsible for all of the inner workings, though. The Saturn V, though, actually is one of the third rocket that I have written down, and it's been around for a really long time.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that took the shuttles or
The space shuttles.
out.
Yeah. So once you get like the technology down, they kind of hold on to it, just like I wish it was we, but SpaceX uses the Merlin engines, and they've tweaked them a lot. Like this new, so I was saying earlier that they're not recovering any of the Falcon 9s because they have a new, it's called the Block 5, and they're made to be refurbished easier, to be like almost land, refuel, go back up. So now when they land, the Block 4s, you kind of have to like check them over and maybe change some of the landing gear stuff, like the
Basically refurbish the whole
refurbish
unit.
it. Yeah. And so this Block 5 version 7 is made to go up, come down a day, look it over. It's meant to go back up and down a couple of times without needing major like
Oh, that's great.
like I could just what I see is like your suspension on your car. How you have like the rubber pieces like on your car, you have to replace those. Like this is made with the best rubber pieces ever, go up and down a couple of times.
Yeah.
Tires. Yeah.
No, I can't think of the word for bushing.
Bushings.
Bushings.
Okay. All right. I will say that it's off topic, but that Top Cutter is one of the only IPAs I actually think is okay.
Do you want one?
I'm still working on this, but maybe after that. I'll trade you.
I like it out of the can.
Trade you Drop Top for one.
Okay. So, off topic. Let's just do it. Just a little commercial break.
All right, commercial break.
No. So,
We're talking about beer
Widmer.
now. Okay.
Widmer beer, which is what you're drinking,
Mm-hmm.
is, as you can see, out of bottles. They started doing cans now.
Mhm.
And it's like, I guess probably a marketing campaign, but now they do cans, which I don't know if it's any better for the environment. But you know those, what were you saying about those plastic rings for 6-packs?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did they kill all the fish, right? Don't put those in the ocean. You have to cut them all apart before you throw them in the
But
ocean.
now they have these weird ones, like these ones, these blue ones. You can't really.
A fish wouldn't really fit through that to choke themselves out. That's
Well,
what you're trying
unless
to
it's
say. Okay.
unless it's a small fish.
So you have to cut all the holes out of the top before you throw them in the ocean.
If you just
for
shred
them
it.
to work.
Okay, wait. I have an idea. So every podcast, at some point, like halfway point or something, we should have a break where we talk about like the beer and cigars,
Okay.
but for like 5 minutes, and then
Or
then
the
go
vegan
back.
food that I happen to be
so, like,
eating.
or the vegan food that he happens to be eating.
So listeners have a chance to go to the bathroom or make phone calls.
Yeah, or
Let their dog out.
yeah, sure. Let your dog out right now.
Just don't let your dog out into a 6-pack plastic jar. It'll get stuck, choke out, and then your dog will be dead, and then nobody's happy after that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. You ready to go back to space?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Round Earth or flat Earth?
Huber.
Or cube Earth?
This is on record.
Yeah.
This is going to be on the internet.
This
Sure.
is
We're
it.
the hot seat.
I'm thinking spherical Earth, man.
Well, I'm of the spherical opinion.
Yep.
What is your opinion? If your opinion is flat, don't worry. Your opinion is still
It's
valid.
shared by the tens of thousands of people on.
Like
some
the guy who went up in the
subreddit
steam-powered rocket.
Well-
Look at him go.
Well, what was your question again? Flatter
Flat.
around?
Do you think the Earth is flat or round? I mean,
have you seen
spherical.
the Truman Show?
Isn't that a movie with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
No.
Truman Show.
I've heard it's good and that I need to watch it, but I haven't ever seen it.
I believe the Earth is round and
Like spherical.
spherical,
Okay.
and not based off of things you probably would expect, but things like when I want proof, I try to look back into civilizations like the Egyptians, the people who were building large structures.
Before it was possible.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother. Okay, ancient civilizations going on here. So,
Because I just came across an interview with a dude that studies these things, and he said that according to the pyramids and the way they're arranged, they're huge, but like the numbers all equal like parts of the Earth, like the circumference of the Earth, or the radius of the Earth, or distance around the Earth. We can get them all out of the ratios and stuff in the pyramids.
well, some people say that the pyramids, the 3 pyramids at Giza, are like aligned with the 3 stars in Orion's belt or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to think that back then, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't fake news. It was all kind of word of mouth.
I
And
didn't know there wasn't fake news back then.
no, there was fake news back then. There was one guy that would come to your small little community and
Mhm.
tell you the news every day, according to him.
Right.
Or you'd get a paper,
Mm-hmm.
like a newspaper.
Yeah.
A tablet.
A tablet.
A stone tablet.
With hieroglyphs on it. Bird. Airplane. Wait, what?
What's an airplane? We haven't
Yeah,
admitted
so,
those
so
yet.
back before green screens, okay? Back
Okay.
before green screens,
All right.
they were able to make these big, huge, giant structures that took years to make, and all the dimensions are based on the Earth itself being round. And so to me, I'm like,
They just kind of figured back then it was round and they
Yeah.
just went with that. Yeah.
yeah, and who knows how they could do it, because it's not like you had a radio.
Maybe they
They'd be
sent
like,
some
"Hey,
guy off and he said, "All right, walk until you come back to this point."
Well,
One
it's not-
direction.
you don't have
I feel like they'd never come back. Swim across the ocean.
in a straight line.
Swim
Well,
across.
even-
Yeah,
Or no,
that'd be true.
I think if you like go walking directions to Japan or something like that, like one of the instructions is to kayak across the Atlantic. But
Do you know that you could start on a sphere? If you start at, it's really easy with like a ball. I could show you. But if you start, like if we both started, like 20 miles apart or whatever, or 100 miles apart, and we faced the exact same direction, and we were in a perfect line, perfectly parallel, and we walked in an exact straight line, our paths would intersect because we're on a sphere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I wish I could show you. If I had a ball, I could show you. There's a really good Vsauce episode that talks about that. Have you ever watched Vsauce?
Heard of it.
No, it's a great.
Oh, dude.
it's a great YouTube.
You've never seen Vsauce. That's your type of show.
Yeah, you'd love it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
And the episodes can be a little long sometimes, like half an hour. But you know, for a YouTube video, that's kind of long.
Just stick them on 1.5 times speed and just go for it. They're kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you think about?
So I think we're all in agreement that the Earth is round, and like if you launch up into space, you can see it. It's a ball-looking thing, and if you fly around it on your International Space Station, you can see the whole dang.
Well, back
Shebang.
if we're looking at ancient history, back in when they were doing the explorers were going to North America and South America and such, they believed the Earth was flat and that you would fall off if you went too far on your ship.
But there were a few people that just went on their ship.
And they
Didn't
also
go too far.
didn't know that North America and South America existed.
Right. That was a relatively new discovery
Yeah.
over the course of history.
Yeah, so if we're going to talk about like the great amount of outer space that we don't know about, there's tons of the ocean that we don't know about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is on this earth, you know, that is undiscovered.
Well, and it's hard for us to go there because of the immense pressure.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, Mars. What do you think about? So you said that you would go to Mars.
Yeah.
Like, just given the opportunity, you just up and leave.
Mhm.
Like, if somebody like gave you like all the training you needed, all the stuff you needed, and here said your spaceship tickets here, and
Yeah, so
you
like,
leave in 2 weeks, you'd be gone.
so you're going to Mars and you're going to be a cook, or you're going to be an electrician, or you're going to set up the Wi-Fi. I would do it.
Yeah,
Well, but
you can slip the Wi-Fi on Mars.
Yeah,
alright.
they might have Wi-Fi. I don't know. But okay, but you're going. I mean, right now, like Mars One, that SpaceX mission that they're talking about, it's to colonize Mars. So it's a one-way trip. You go there and you stay.
You never
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah. Would you be okay with that?
Yes.
All right.
I believe that humans were travelers, and we're always wanting to go someplace, because it's not until recent times that we've kind of become settled or stationary, not moving that much. But like in the beginning times of humans, we would move around all the time. We wouldn't have a home. We would have camps.
Kind of nomadic
Yeah.
in nature.
Yeah, so I think there's something deep inside of us that wants to adventure or find what's over the horizon.
Yeah.
And back when those maps were made, they didn't have the technology that they have now. They didn't have satellites, and all they had was people going out and coming back and being like, "This is what we came up to." Like Christopher Columbus, we've all seen Pocahontas, right? They didn't know that America was there until they sailed upon it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even when they got there, they didn't think it was like any new land or anything.
They still thought it
figured
was
they-
India.
They
Yeah.
thought they just like tapped into India across the. Yeah.
Get some spices, man.
Yeah, it was uncommon
Yeah.
for Columbus to think that the world was round at that point in time.
Yeah, and
So, yeah, I would go to Mars.
Would you go to Mars to be a cook, or just to be a scientist, or I mean, yeah, like Lance said, what if you just had all the training you needed to do whatever?
I think you would be going, sending your genetic material. It's like you wouldn't be a cook. You would be going, and on the way you would have a kid or two, and then by the time that the space shuttle got there, I would probably be dead.
I think
my kids would be alive.
Yeah, but I think you're
The
underestimating.
trip to Mars is only like, at the longest point is like
I think it's like 9 months.
It's like a 9-month
Oh,
journey.
it is?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal to go to Mars.
Mars isn't that far away. Jake, how far is it
Why
to
can't
Mars?
we go to Mars already then?
We've been to Mars. We've sent probes to Mars, dude. There's rovers on Mars.
Yeah.
There's rovers on the moon.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's rovers on
But we don't have people living on the moon. It's just kind of convenient to live here on Earth where you can actually grow wheat.
So, okay, but wouldn't that be
It's kind of
cool?
handy to be able to grow wheat, see?
There was some idea that I heard once that
Agriculture.
if you could build a base on the moon,
Mhm.
you could launch stuff from the moon with a lot. It would cost
The
more
gravity
efficient.
is less on the moon,
So-
so you can
Yeah, so it's
launch.
more efficient because the gravity's less.
And part of me wants to naysay and say that we never went to the moon.
Okay.
Or that we can't actually leave the atmosphere.
Okay, but what about the Tesla Roadster? I mean, you're following all the SpaceX stuff.
Yeah.
But like
So-
as a person, like once you're outside of Earth's like magnetic field, like you're no longer protected from the sun's radiation, and you just get cooked. I mean, that's part of what people think. I mean, the Earth is one of the only planets that has like a proper magnetic field.
Yeah, atmosphere.
So
No, not even the atmosphere. It's the magnetic field that keeps the sun's like rays from like cooking your brain from the inside out.
So Earth and Mars are in two different orbits, so they're not always exactly the same distance apart. But the closest they've ever been, I think, is what it's saying, is 33.9 million miles.
And so I guess how long does it take to get there when they launch stuff?
I'm pretty sure with current technology, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 months.
Yeah, less than a year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So with that though, so you think that there's possibility we never landed on the moon? We've never landed on the moon because there's been multiple missions to the moon. You think those were all hoaxes, or
There haven't been any missions to the moon since the 70s, though.
that is
942 hours.
942 hours. All right, can you do the math?
Calculator.
Divided by 24.
I think we went to the moon, but I think that the pictures that we have of us being at the moon aren't real.
So you think we landed on the moon but didn't take any pictures?
That we did take pictures, but they didn't make it back.
How come?
40 days.
40 days.
40 days. So you
So
would
that's
li-
like a little
that's-
over a month.
Yeah.
So, okay. So for me, just things don't add up. All right. So, what, Lance? You were just saying that once you leave the Earth's atmosphere and the magnetic, whatever.
Our Earth's magnetic field, which is kind of an important reason why we're all still alive.
Yeah. Once you leave that, then you're exposed to harmful radiation from the sun.
Right.
But-
So what they say is, sorry, just one sec. What they say is that if you were to go up to the moon and take pictures with a film camera, which is what they had back then, like a Polaroid camera, it would be too much exposed to the radiation.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I got back to Earth, it would be messed up, as if you took the film out and exposed it to light.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all the light?
lack of protection of an atmosphere or whatever.
Okay, but what about, so then,
So that means we just need to go again with current
Right,
current
why
technology.
haven't
we? Well,
yeah,
okay.
That's one of
Right
the
now,
big things.
right now, this. Sorry to stop you, but
Yeah.
right now we're working on getting out of the atmosphere. Like
Mhm.
that's what SpaceX is ultimately all about: is getting things up into the atmosphere like satellites, or out
Mhm.
of the atmosphere. And that's the struggle. We're just to the point now where it's efficient and less expensive than it was before because we can reuse these.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it I think just
50
has to do
billion.
with the way that our economy works right now, which is rather screwed up at the moment, and how it worked back in the 60s and 70s when they were actually doing that. The economy was way better. The government basically had unlimited money they could throw at NASA, so they just gave them all the money they
Right.
wanted to go to the moon. Now they don't have all the money that they can They can just throw it at NASA and say, "Go to the moon again and make sure that we actually win."
So, but back the camera thing on the moon.
That's some science. Like that can be debunked if we did some research.
Well, yeah, but I mean, think about it. So, if you have a film camera here on Earth, you take a picture with it, you're exposing that film to the light for a fraction of a second, and that imprints the image on the film. And then you go into a dark room and you take that film out, and you're able to develop it. And so what you're saying is there's so much radiation that opening that lens on the camera will overexpose the film?
Nope, not like that. Just let's say this Sharpie was the camera. It doesn't have to take any pictures, but you send it to space, it's going to be affected by the radiation. And when it comes back, it won't be the same because it doesn't have a tinfoil protection. Or
didn't wear his tinfoil hat for the day.
Didn't wear his tinfoil hat for the day.
So why couldn't they have put that on the cameras? And how, if I would say that, human tissue is very sensitive to that as well, and those people that came back, yeah. So you don't think that they could have built some sort of insulation into the cameras? Because if you've seen those pictures of those cameras, they seem pretty bulky to just be film cameras.
Yeah. So this is yeah, you're right. So this is just research I've done a long time ago about the moon landing because
watching too many conspiracy theories on YouTube.
Yeah, you can go down the rabbit hole.
Those are great, though.
Yeah, they are pretty great.
That 40 days refers to the fastest probe that was sent to Mars.
Okay.
Oh, so yeah, humans can't withstand that type of...
Right, that was 36,000 miles per hour.
So can you find what SpaceX, what they think it will take to...
Might be able to find a prediction.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, speaking of predictions, I heard that the Roadster missed Mars, and it's going to end up in the asteroid belt?
Yes.
Yeah, they just missed.
It did its job too well.
It happens to the best of us.
Alright, so... yeah.
According to Mars1.com, the trip would take around 7 months.
We need a fan.
Wait, how many months?
7 months.
Oh, so
Yeah.
less than we thought still.
Yeah, 7 months to get to Mars when Mars is fairly close.
Yeah, you'd have to calculate the right orbit.
That's probably what their plan is, though.
I think if I remember right, they were talking about being able to send a new ship every 18 months. That's like when it got close.
Yeah. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you would go to Mars.
I would not go to Mars.
Yeah, I don't think I would go to Mars either. I think I would maybe go to Mars if the plan was to go there, spend a few years there, and then come back. But think about it. So, the first colony on Mars, they're going to send these people there to colonize it. And their job is to, build these structures and do a bunch of research and have children. And so the first child that's born on that planet will not be an Earthling. It'll be a Martian. It'll still be human, but it'll be a Martian. That's kind of an interesting thought that I thought about.
Yeah.
If they were to come back to Earth, they'd be like supreme.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a citizen.
I'm not
anywhere.
even from here, guys.
Okay, and then would they? But then they wouldn't. Would they be a citizen of any country here on Earth? If they came back, would they have citizenship anywhere?
Well, it might depend on which country sent them.
Sure.
At that point,
Or what country their parents are from.
Yeah.
didn't the United States government a couple of months back put funding towards a space police organization?
Space police.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about this.
No, what's the space police?
Space police.
Space police, Jake. What do you
Well-
think it is? What did you hear about it?
Well, any person born on a U.S. Air Force or military base of any kind is automatically a U.S. citizen.
But
So-
SpaceX isn't part of the government, though. So if
Yes.
SpaceX makes a colony out on Mars, it's not a military installation.
But what if we call it a military installation?
They're not
and
going to
anyone
call it a
born
military
there
Hold on.
installation.
is a
Hold on.
U.S. citizen.
What's your idea? After you chew up your chip.
Guac chip.
Well, I was just gonna tell a joke about like INS or something. I'm not a citizen, but
Yeah. Wait, what's INS?
Immigration.
Oh. Well, yeah, you could come back. You'd be an illegal immigrant. And,
The old Trumpster will deport you to Mexico.
Yeah. Well, he'll deport you back to Mars.
I'm finding Lego sets and TV shows, but no, nothing real
Lego sets and TV shows.
of Space Police. Yeah.
Do you happen to read The Onion?
Absolutely.
Okay, is that where you saw it?
What?
Is that where you saw it?
So what?
The Space Police.
No, no, that's what I was talking about. No,
Okay.
no, it's a new branch of the Air Force.
Really? And they're going to like use these.
Like they need anything else to do.
Well, I mean, I mean they don't. Never mind. We're not going to get into that. Yeah, Kyle could tell you all about that.
Space Police. I'm gonna look it up right now. It's a thing.
All right, I
End
believe
up buying
you.
a Lego set off Amazon.
And they're supposed to police these, like the spacecraft that are going up, or.
Make sure no illegal aliens come back down. I mean, come on, man.
You stop their spaceship.
Wait just 1 second.
I need to see your papers. What these?
Do you think? Okay. Do you think you'd be required to take your passport to Mars if you went to Mars? I mean, space is a premium. I mean, every
It's
ounce
considered
means something,
international
right?
waters.
Pretty soon,
It means it's up to the Navy, right?
well, but you can go to international waters like on your own private boat without any sort of passport or anything. But you're not protected by anybody. So anybody could blow you up and it doesn't matter. I think.
No protection.
Well,
I mean, like, I bet you if we wanted to go like have a shootout, we'd go to international waters, have a shootout, and none of us go to jail.
so does that make like an aircraft carrier, like a military base then?
I think so.
Okay.
I bet
Sovereign land.
Sovereign land, yeah.
Yeah.
So I found an article. U.S. Air Force wants to police outer space to safeguard pioneering, whatever. But the United States Air Force is what's behind this. So yes, space police.
That article by 4chan.
No, so at
Wow.
All right. So space police, Air Force in outer space. But I mean, what would their job be?
The Air Force doesn't have any spacecraft. Everything gonna stop me.
They don't have any aircraft
I
either.
had my X-wing in the swamp.
They don't have any aircraft.
You think
either.
that's funny? You know that Elon Musk named the Falcon rocket after the Millennium Falcon?
That's
I
awesome.
doubt it.
I would.
You laugh right now, but really,
Old
like,
Muskie's
this
just
all-
basically a 12-year-old that grew up.
Or he's a lizard like Hillary Clinton.
I don't think he's a lizard.
So okay, lizard people. Are they from outer space? Which planet? We don't know. So
I'm
you
not
think?
friends with any lizard people.
How do you know? Because
Yeah.
don't they like hide?
If I could think of someone who could be a lizard person. The log.
You think the
The founder-
log is a lizard
Yeah,
person?
the log.
The
He's
founder of
pretty,
Facebook is a lizard.
He is pretty tall and alien-like.
No, not alien-like. He's just like a superhuman. Like his strength.
I think I can still do more pull-ups than he can.
This is true, but he can. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, definitely,
That-
he has gained some muscle. That is true, and he definitely is strong.
Who's the log? I got nothing here.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
We can't use real names on the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He'll know when he watches this.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Shout out to the log.
Yeah. Two. Wasn't he Captain Log? Captain's Log. All right. Speaking of Captain's Log, do you think in the future there will be some sort of like Star Trek Federation thing?
That's okay. So once we get better at sending shit into space,
Mm-hmm.
So next best thing is like so light speed travel comes along. Is that where you're going?
Well, hold on. But I don't think that you need.
this guacamole is really good.
Yeah, it is.
Lance the vegan's being a vegan right now.
No, there might be some animal products in there.
I'm
Chicken
sure.
bones or something.
Chicken bones.
No, but so I don't think you need light speed stuff to have a Starfleet. I mean, the Space Police, that sounds like Starfleet.
So,
Except maybe not as lawful good as Starfleet.
so once we're able to go to space more, we're talking like next 10 years. There's going to be other countries sending stuff into space.
North Korea's almost there.
Excuse me. So,
All right,
That was a joke.
so therefore, there will be a
Send the prints
need.
by fax.
All right.
We got to discern whether this is a comedy podcast or an actual like.
I think the comedy is good, but we should stay on topic. So what were you saying about we go into space more in like the next 10 years?
Yeah, so there's plans to go to Mars, right? And so that we gotta keep riding our bicycle before we can ride the motorcycle. You know, we gotta keep getting good at the bicycle part of it. So once we're
Do you think we're going to be hitting the moon, like making an outpost on the moon before we make an outpost on Mars? Or are we just going to skip the moon?
it doesn't seem like anyone wants to do that. It
Yeah.
seems like right now people just want to send satellites up into space to see more of the Earth. Or to continue to like observe the Earth better. That's what it seems like right now. People are just wanting to get information
Yeah.
because no one's trying to go up there besides the International Space Station. And I don't know if I'm 100% correct on this, but the International Space Station isn't in space. It's in our atmosphere. It's not actually free in space. It's in one of the layers.
It's in geosynchronous orbit.
Well, but it's
I
in
don't know what that
orbit.
means.
Well, I think that means it's constantly, it's falling at the same rate the Earth is turning.
Yeah.
So it stays right
But it's
there.
not actually outside of the Earth's atmosphere.
Okay, so it's like in the upper
Yeah.
layers of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Can you fact check that?
What if we use instead of like actually going onto the surface of Mars? What if we did a space station like the International Space Station above Mars?
Above Mars?
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Well, it's
Well,
just
I
like
think-
like the point of the International Space Station. I don't know.
So I think the problem is, who you want to like?
Yeah.
What do you want me to fact check?
Where's the ISS at?
Yeah.
Is it in
Earth's
space?
atmosphere?
Or is it inside the atmosphere?
Speaking of the International Space Station, remember the total lunar eclipse that happened?
Yeah, that was fairly recently.
There were certain parts of the Earth where, I think it was in the United States, where you could see the International Space Station go through the eclipse.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a done sort
Yeah.
of experience of split second.
Huh.
Yeah, there's some photographers. I watched a YouTube video of some photographers were like, we're going to be in this specific farm in Colorado so we can see the...
So, what was I going to say?
So here in our particular locale, we got like a solid like 90, 95, 98% eclipse. Like
Yeah, it
year
wasn't
out.
100, but
Yeah.
it was close.
Yeah. Very cool.
So let me ask some
Highly
questions.
recommend.
How did you guys feel about that experience? Were you guys working, or what were you guys doing?
Yeah, I went outside and watched it.
I was on top of the mark.
Really?
Oh,
yeah?
Oh, with everybody else?
Yeah, it was cool. I didn't think that it wasn't like a life-changing experience or whatever, but it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got a fact from Jake. The International Space Station orbits Earth in this layer.
The mesosphere.
Oh yeah, it says mesopause.
Is
Mesopause.
that like menopause?
The boundary between the mesosphere and the thermosphere. Oh, so it's like in between two.
Yeah.
So it isn't all the
It's-
way out of our atmosphere.
No.
You're right. Thank you, Jake. Interesting. But the idea of putting a space station above Mars instead of actually being on Mars, I think that being on Mars would be better because the idea is that you can cultivate the soil and plant things and become self-sustaining. You can't really do that in a space station. You have to have stuff shipped to you to survive.
Space station would be just for experiments.
Mm-hmm.
And space station has been up there for a good amount of time. Speaking of space station, something that I wanted to talk about was there's a Chinese
Well, the
space
Chinese
station.
space station is supposed to crash back into the.
It did.
Oh,
Mm.
game over, man.
Where did it crash? Do you know?
I have it on here. Chinese space station harmlessly breaks up over the Pacific Ocean.
Huh.
So it did come back.
Mm-hmm.
So were there? Did they decide to retire it, or was there a problem?
No, they didn't launch it high enough for it like the ISS. It's like launched high enough where it's not going to come back down.
Right. Well,
So that one wasn't launched as high as the ISS, so it eventually just came back down. It was up there for quite a while.
I think it started in the 60s with the space race, but at some point something malfunctioned and you could no longer inhabit it.
So they left it?
Left it.
Huh. Can you look up that?
The Chinese space station.
Yeah, when did they abandon the Chinese space station? Interesting. I didn't even know China had a space station. Until I saw, I did see that headline a week or so ago.
There's a lot of stuff in space, and so Lance asked earlier if, like with space launches, like what if the weather's bad? Mm-hmm. So when they go to launch something, they have like one time when a government agency says it's okay to launch.
Mm-hmm.
They have a window. Sometimes it's instantaneous, like they have to do it right then, or they have a 2-hour time period where they can launch it, or they have to wait till the next day.
Okay.
Because there's so much space junk
Oh, sure, yeah.
floating around.
I know there's like a department that's based on just keeping track of all the space junk.
There's
too.
tons and tons and tons of space junk.
Mhm.
There's many podcasts already that have devoted their time to this, but you
Just
have
the
to
space junk?
Yeah.
space junk, and so like
Just dead stuff.
Yeah.
Like stuff that's run out of battery juice and all that.
So-
it's been we've launched stuff into space since the '60s, and we launched stuff
for
all
instance,
the time.
that one rocket went up 353 times.
Yeah.
Every time it launched some sort of satellite or a bunch of satellites out there.
Yeah.
And old Muskie's talking about launching like another 3,000 some odd satellites to make a worldwide internet
Yeah, and he got
deal.
permission.
He's got permission from the FCC
So,
to
like-
get
And
that
now
done.
that he's rolling out the Block 5s, he's going to be able to do it quickly. And so
Yep.
the idea behind SpaceX is to make money on these small rocket launches, and the ultimate goal is to do the BFR,
Mhm.
which is
It's a big Falcon rocket.
the big Falcon rocket.
Mhm.
Yeah, not something else.
Yeah. You see,
But
Elon
yeah,
Musk
yeah.
is funny about this because he does a lot of like references, like pop culture references. Like
Sure.
he sent up the Roadster and he's playing David Bowie up there. Like
Mhm.
I thought that was awesome.
that's hilarious.
Like every kid that's like played with Legos,
Yeah,
like has launched an RC car.
I was
like a
just
little
watching
Hot
the
Wheel up
Trailer
to
Park
space.
Boys and they got a rocket.
Yeah.
They launched in this, whatever. But
I launched G.I. Joe, guys. Like, not even kidding.
Mhm.
I built one of those 2-liter soda bottle rockets that you pump full of air and it goes.
Yep.
yeah.
And I built one that had a little compartment and I put
So-
little G.I. Joe guys in
So
it.
we have an inherent need to want to explore, to be like, what happens when we do this, and like
Mhm.
throw the pin across the room. What happens? Like we
Yeah.
want to know.
Yeah,
Well,
well, totally.
Muskie's got enough billions that he can actually do
He
it.
can do that. He's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Well,
not finding any history on the Chinese space station, but it did crash on April Fool's Day.
Did it really?
April Fool's Day.
Oh,
Are they sure? Or are they just talking about it?
Because they were worried about it for a while if it would
Mhm.
go for like a populated area.
Oh yeah.
that would suck.
Yeah, you don't want that just landing in your backyard someday. It might take out your whole house.
Yeah, at least.
But so the
Your whole block.
Or the whole block.
So
whole town. You never know.
If you live in Clyde.
So the idea of the SpaceX thing is to make the money off of these satellites to be able to send the BFR up into space. And the BFR is going to either go to Mars or make travel between here and London quicker, or between here and India or
So
Asia.
the satellites, the internet satellites, is that to provide the entire world with free internet or a paid service?
I don't know.
Because
He joked about the password. He's like, I'm sending these up into space. Here's the password for it. It's like he's sending a router up into space.
I mean, that's probably essentially what he's sending up there.
Yeah.
Dude, imagine if we could, like, if it was a paid service, if we could tap into that
Mm-hmm.
and like have a pirated internet service.
But at that point, I mean, if they actually make it fast enough, is that going to be the worldwide ISP and like the beginning of the worldwide order?
So we're talking about
Oh.
AI. What if they're throwing the AI is going to go to space before we do?
Oh, absolutely.
essentially.
Yeah.
Well,
I think AI is probably already
but
in
that-
space.
But that's an interesting idea. Is okay if they do launch this and it has good speeds and it's reasonable price, it's reasonably
free.
priced or free.
Mhm.
Then will it run all the other ISPs out of business?
The internet should be free.
It should be. You're absolutely right.
Just like I think you can go get a library card. Do you have to pay for a library card?
I
think you have to
do. I
pay
think
late
it's-
fees.
I think it's a couple bucks.
I think you have to pay late fees if your book's late. But
Sure.
the idea of information being free, like for the most part, you can go to cafes and get on the internet.
See, but the
It's-
problem with free Wi-Fi. So, for example, the internet cafes,
Yeah.
or I mean, internet cafes don't really exist. I mean, like you go
Not
get
anymore.
you go get a cup of coffee at Starbucks. You sit down. There's free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I can sit there with my laptop. I could show you sometime. Well, I probably shouldn't. You can sit there in a coffee shop connected to this Wi-Fi, and you can do this thing called art poisoning, and then you can spoof certain things. Basically, anybody that's in the cafe connected to the same Wi-Fi as you. Let's say I wanted to spoof Facebook, like the login page for Facebook. Anybody that goes to Facebook, instead of going to Facebook, goes to my computer, and I get their login credentials. So there's problems with free internet. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, paid internet isn't necessarily secure, but it's going to be more secure than free internet because anybody can be on the free internet.
Yeah. So let's say Muskie.
Muskie.
Muskie launches his Wi-Fi satellites up,
Yeah.
and we're all using them as Americans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And let's say Russia or China hacks them,
Mm-hmm.
and then takes control over them, which is it's
It's
got to
a
be
possi-
anything's
It's got to be possible. Yeah, sure.
Literally
Sure, I
anything's possible.
It is, yeah.
So
Or even me wanting your bank account information.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
privacy's kind of an illusion. Just like
That's-
security, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, to a point. That's another thing we should talk about: privacy and security in one.
How long are we gonna go?
I figured hour and a half
Okay.
between there, and we are an hour and 6 minutes into it.
Okay,
So
Okay.
doing good.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So I keep trying to fucking nail my points in here, but
Yeah. Well,
The-
put
the-
one in there.
the BFR,
Yeah.
right?
The Big Falcon rocket.
Yeah, so it's gonna. They're trying to perfect this reusable rocket technology and
Mhm.
then make the money off of it so that he can do his own projects, like send another roadster up into space. But this rocket is supposed to use the same technology that the current rockets use, just like many more engines,
Mm-hmm.
bigger, sort of like a space shuttle type thing. The shape essentially is the same. But it would go to Mars and come back, go to Mars and come back, or it would, like I said, it would go to London and come back. So you think about that, that raises some questions as to sound.
Mm-hmm.
Because like with the airport, airplanes are loud, and that's just kind of a fraction of the speed
Yeah.
that a rocket would go.
Sure. Yeah.
So like noise pollution.
Would it? So to, I guess. Sorry to cut you off. To propel something that large that quickly, is it going to be more efficient than jetliners to go from like here to London?
Yeah. Well,
Think so?
see, okay, so that brings up a point that I wanted to make is that when NASA quit giving all the money to itself, it opened up private companies to do it, and that creates competition, and it. So, the point being that you don't want someone that can do it to take all the money and just never progress or get better. So when Elon Musk came in, he's setting the bar, setting the standard, and making it cheaper. And so all these people that have been doing it since the 60s and just getting the money with the same technology that has been around, they're like, well, shit, we're not getting the contract this year because we didn't innovate like Elon Musk did. We didn't have the crazy idea to do this like Elon Musk did. And so now they're obsolete. They're,
Yeah.
you know,
No longer exist.
going bankrupt.
So
So, it's creating like what's America based off of, like a entrepreneurship and like you know, making your own money and like making a name for yourself. So it's allowing these people to, like the flat Earth guy just made a rocket, a steam propelled rocket. Like you could essentially make your own space company.
Mhm.
The craziest thing is okay, when Elon Musk was very first starting out in like 2008, 2005, he had the idea to do this, and he went to Russia, and he was going to buy some old intercontinental ballistic missiles from Russia to send this shit up into space. Like I said, using old technology, he was going to buy these rockets from Russia and use them to send satellites up into space. So Russia's like, we'll do it, but we're going to charge you this amount of money, and Elon's like, I can do it cheaper. And so Elon called their bluff. The technology is like on the internet, and you could, if you're a rocket scientist, it's a patented thing, anyone can use it. So he made his own from that, and that was like 12 years ago, 15 years ago, and now he's making his own because Russia decided not to sell them the intercontinental missiles.
Yeah.
So do you think it's a good thing that space exploration and that sort of thing has been opened up to the free market?
100%. Because just like what happened with the space shuttles back in the day, it creates an awareness, and like
now, what do you mean the space shuttles back in the day? They were opened up to like a private company?
Well, it created an awareness with the people of like some good news, like the space shuttle just launched and it went to this place. Like, it's good news. It's good for the people. Like a young kid is gonna be like, a rocket went to space, and he's gonna like go home and build it with his Legos or whatever.
Yep, absolutely.
Or paper mache it. You know, it's gonna create awareness in young kids to open their imagination up and to like help them create something else. Like something else might stem from it. But pretty much everyone knows about SpaceX. It's pretty well known. Most people know about it.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't know a lot of details. So I'm very interested in it. So I'm gonna like set my phone settings to send me like all the articles possible about SpaceX. When I open that Google app that you have, the first like 3 articles are about SpaceX, Tesla, or Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World. Those are my 3 things that I'm really focused on and curious about. So it just creates like a positive effect on people, to where instead of like focusing on your math homework, you know, being a sophomore in high school, you're focused on your math homework and it's sucking. You could be like, if I learn this algebra, this is how rockets get launched, and maybe I'm really good at this algebra. Maybe I want to become an engineer and build the titanium fins for that rocket.
That costs $661 per 100 grams. That's a lot.
Sounds like a lot of money to me.
That is crazy. That's crazy.
Need somebody to will it.
So
what if they're riveted?
Oh.
Airtight rivets.
Riveted it.
Isn't it cast?
I don't know. I don't know how it's built.
I'm not sure.
So,
Those would be some huge castings.
Oh yeah.
car size. SpaceX was founded in 2002.
It's been a while.
Is also by Elon Musk, who's also the CEO of Tesla Motors, which he initially made his fortune by co-founding the online payment system PayPal.
Yep.
Right. Well, he's a venture capitalist essentially.
But he has backgrounds though. He has
It's a major background in business, really.
business and like some sort of engineering. It's like engineering where you bring it all together, not the builders, but the people that bring things together, like incorporate things.
I mean, if you look at like the TED Talks that Ole Mesty does, and like just the general like public like the things that he does publicly, he's like not very comfortable like talking to the public.
You're right. He's there's a word for it. He's not very good with his words. He kind of stutters a lot.
Sure, yeah.
Socially awkward.
Socially awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Very
necessarily
much so.
think that he'd be like socially awkward with a small group of people, but when he's like talking to a crowd at like a TED Talk, he's like not very good at it.
We should have Elon Musk on this show.
That'd be great. Well, I'll leave you in charge of getting
I
him
want
on.
Joe
Okay.
Rogan to get Elon Musk on.
That would be pretty cool.
Be way cool. But
We
speaking
could get Joe Rogan on, who gets Elon Musk on.
Keep on drinking.
Okay, if you could sit down and talk with Elon Musk, What would you ask him? What would be the first question you asked him?
I'd ask him what he does with his day.
Like every day? Like
yeah.
how he
like,
starts his day?
Like how he spends his time throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like what he pays attention to. Because I don't know if he has a family or not.
I have no idea.
But like what he wakes up and does in the morning. Like if he wakes up and works out, or if he jogs, or if he eats a certain protein shake. I would want to know like what he does in a day.
He's a vegan, just like Lance.
Because a couple of years ago, he said that he spent this much time a week on this. Right now, he's spending this much amount of time on Tesla, or certain things requires his attention. But he has many things going on, like his artificial intelligence, his AI thing. And he said that he every week devotes like 3 hours to the AI thing of like going to the headquarters and meeting with his people and like doing that. 3 hours a week isn't that much time to like. What else are you spending? Your
But
time
like,
on?
what else has he got going? I mean,
A
he's
bunch
got
of other things. You know?
he's got his SpaceX. He's got his Tesla. He's got his AI. He's got all of his stuff to do.
He's got a lot
And
of
he's a
things.
regular person too. He wants to have some fun and do his thing and
He
Yeah.
does have a lot of
watches
fun.
rockets take off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his like main picture on Twitter right now is him just like smiling at his rocket.
Well,
I mean-
did you guys see the art? There's an article.
How do you know? You're not on Twitter. Oh wait, yeah, you are.
I'm on Twitter. What are you talking about?
So there's an article that came up recently about photography with rockets, and that these 4 specific photographers have become famous because of Elon's success
Mm-hmm.
with SpaceX. And so like these 4 photographers are like, it's their life and their job to take pictures of these rockets, and they're so cool and good, and it's like awareness. They're bringing awareness to people.
Sure. Yeah.
And these pictures are amazing.
Mhm.
And part of taking that picture is being there, like on the ground level, and feeling, hearing the sonic booms, like hearing the.
Wouldn't that be crazy to watch a?
That'd be great.
Be live.
You'd have to be like 3-4 miles away from it to.
I know, but it would still be a really cool experience.
Yeah, so I watched a short documentary on one of the photographers with the Falcon Heavy. And so this guy's sitting miles away from the launch pad, and he sees it launch. And then miles away over here is where they both land. And he's sitting up on top of a structure that like you build rockets in. So it's like a huge structure, like 90 stories high, where they put the rockets together and they bring them out. And so he's sitting up on top, and he can see the rocket go up, and then he can see them land. And each time they do anything like that, it breaks the speed of sound, and you can hear it, feel it, and it's like a whoosh, like
a shock
a wave.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's it.
Quite the experience.
That's cool.
The only problem is like the closest place to do it around here is California, and it's like not a free state, so I don't really want to go there. So.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother.
That's
topic.
a whole nother topic.
California.
Oh my goodness, California.
California.
Everything
Oh,
causes
man.
cancer there. All right, I think that's about.
We'll wrap it up.
Yep,
I
I
think
think
we're
that's
good.
that's about what we have time for. Thank
Very
you for
enjoyable.
watching our podcast.
I
or
think next
listening
week
to it.
we'll try to do
Well,
AI.
let me ask
I'm
you a
very
question.
excited for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah, of course.
Is the cherry red Sportster that SpaceX sent up into space, is that art? Do you consider that art? That's my question.
See, I'm not an art fan, so I just consider that to be like a cool thing.
So that's my question. and
I don't like
this will-
art.
Do you consider it art?
Yes, but we'll end with that.
Okay, yeah, totally. Thank you for watching our pod, whatever
Second
it's called.
installment of Finished Business Podcast.
I can click on this. Oh, that didn't work right.
Oh, I'm not even.
Uh,
I haven't even been in it. This
No,
whole
no, no,
time.
you have. I just switched it. There. That's what it's been looking like the entire time.
Oh, I was like, I've been like leaning
You've
back.
been
It's all
caught
done.
off.
No,
I
I
thought it was the host.
need to switch this. So, yeah. Here's our Twitters down here. And then we have a group Twitter for the podcast that really messed up, but the FinBiz podcast.
Much
All right.
love and be well.
All right.